We have a €25 voucher for the Clonroad Garden Centre because Judy Beck is in studio to bring us through this week's gardening slot. So get your questions in and you could be with a chance of winning that voucher to spend at the Clonroad Garden Centre. Judy, good morning to you.
And good morning, Derrick. A chilly morning outside today.
Long sleeves kind of a day.
It surely is, but see, the weather forecast is great for this weekend, so definitely time to be getting into the garden now.
Brilliant. And we've questions coming in already, which we'll get to in just a while. But this morning's topic of conversation is how to plant a summer pot with colour.
And this is all what we're doing at the moment, helping people pick their plants to make those gorgeous summer containers. Everybody's looking for colour for their garden. And of course, communion season, confirmation season, everybody wants to have a bit of colour to welcome their visitors and just to enjoy themselves out in the garden. And just to give some guidelines to people, because some people go, I just don't have a clue where to start to get some nice pots done up. We'll just run through a few tips to help people to plant up those summer pots. And an easy way to remember is when you're doing a summer container, you need thrillers, spillers and fillers. And what I mean by that is, for the thrillers, we're talking about the plant that goes in the centre of the pot. So it's something that gives a wow factor to the pot. It's usually something fairly tall, very colourful, and is something that will just really give the focus for your pot. Thrillers would be, for example, geraniums, dahlias, African daisies, also known as osteospermums, or maybe double begonias. Lots of choices. Something that will grow bigger and better as the summer goes on and give endless flowers throughout the summer. So give plenty of value for money. Then you need your spillers, and your spillers are your plants that will grow around the edge of the pot. So something that will tumble over the side and be very vigorous. And those could be Surfinia petunias, which are the trailing petunias, maybe trailing verbena, million bells, trailing lobelia, or what I really like to use is a little bit of trailing green. And those green plants could be creeping jenny, nipita, or silver falls, which is a lovely silver textured plant. And those will tumble over the pot and keep going all summer long. Then in between your thriller and your spillers, you have what we call the fillers. And the fillers are small plants that fill out the pot, but again will keep flowering all summer. There's 6-pack bedding that you can buy for this, so it's cheap and cheerful. It goes a long way. 6 plants usually for just a few euro. And things like that would be the marigolds, violas, busy lizzies, bedding begonias. It's actually an endless supply of 6-pack bedding that you can get to fill up your containers. And of course, if you are on a budget, you don't have a lot to spare, but you do want colour in your pots, you could just fill them all, forget about your thrillers, your spillers and your fillers, and just use the 6-pack bedding. And that way you can still have colour, but you're not spending too much money. Now, if you wanted something scented for your pots, and I love scented flowers, nemesia would be a really good one. It's really nice scent, beautiful, or dianthus. And especially if you're putting them at the front door, to use scented flowers, dianthus or pinks or nemesia, just give a really nice scent. But of course, there's no right or wrong answers when it comes to filling your containers. Some people say, no, what colours will I go with? What would you go with? Can I mix colours? You know, there's no hard and fast rules. Go with what you like. Go with the colours you like. Some people like that soft palette of purples, pinks and whites. Other people like those strong colours, yellows and oranges. And of course, if you're a long way from the road, for example, and you want people to see your pots from a good distance, going with those stronger yellows and oranges, you can see them better from a distance. But as I said, there's no right or wrong answers. And some people will just go for a complete rainbow and mix all the colours up. And that's absolutely fine too. Now, if you're short on time and you don't have time to be doing up, going in and picking lots of different plants, and you can buy these a little pot of plants that has 3 different plants in it already. It's kind of a new thing where the nurseries have made up these. They've put 3 colours together that are nice, 3 plants that suit each other. You go in, you go buy the pot, and then you just transplant it into your bigger pot. No thinking about it, no need to do anything. You'll amaze your friends with your talents, but actually all the work has been done for you, and you've literally just transplanted them. Often things like petunias, million bells and verbena will come in the one pot, and you literally just plonk it in and give it a bit of watering, and it's all done for you. Now, most people would use the annuals in the containers, and the reason people use annuals mostly is because they flower all summer. The thing about perennials is that they generally don't flower all summer long. The good thing about perennials is that they come back year after year. You can leave them in the pot till next year, or you can plant them into your garden after the flowers are finished, but most won't flower all summer long. And that is why people generally use the annuals, even though it does seem like, oh, but they won't come back next year. The thing is that they will give you months and months of colour, and that's why they're so popular. There are a few plants that will flower a lot of the summer and will come back, and lavender would be one such plant. So lavender, of course, is a perennial. It does come back every year, and it will give you months of flowers. But those plants would be fewer and far between. Now, another few tips just for planting up your containers. One is to use good quality compost. You would preferably change out all the old compost out of the pot and put in brand new. But if you don't want to go to all that trouble, you could definitely take out the top half. Make sure there's no nasties, vine weevils or nasty creepy crawlies that are going to eat. Sometimes slugs are hiding in there from overwintering. So make sure that there's no nasties that are going to eat your lovely flowers. So if you can, change out the whole pot with new compost, but at least the top half. The other thing is you can use is slow released plant food. And that every time you water, then the slow release releases food into the compost, and watering regularly. Now, just remember, if you are going away on holidays, take that into account. At least leave a saucer of water under the container, or hopefully maybe one nice neighbour might water them for you. And most of these summer flowers, they love sunshine. So if you can put it in shelter with some sunshine, another good way to guarantee that you will get really good flowers for the summer. Now, if all else fails, or you're short on time, or you really still are a bit confused, you can bring your pots into Clonroad Garden Centre. We will plant them all up for you and give them ready to take home and amaze your friends and family with.
Brilliant, yeah. And I suppose if you're doing that, then just tell them that you did it yourself. And
absolutely.
You can kill 2 birds with one stone.
Take the credit.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Lots and lots of questions coming in, Judy, and do keep them coming, because, as I say, we have that 25-euro voucher to give away. But before we get to those, maybe if you want to dish out a couple of jobs for the week for people.
Yes, so a few things to keep in mind now in the middle of May. If you planted a new hedge, trees or shrubs this year, remember to keep them watered, because the first year they're always at risk of drying out. The roots haven't established. They're not long in the ground. So very important, if we get a long dry spell, to make sure they are planted, or they may fail on you. Also, now it's almost time to start cutting the lawns every week. Temperatures will hopefully begin to rise, or they're due to rise this weekend. So the lawn is going to be growing like mad. So probably needs to be cut once a week during the summer, if you have the time or the inclination. And it's a great time now to sow some lettuce for your summer salads. So you can buy lettuce seed quite cheaply in the garden centres, and start successional sowing. So that's sowing every few weeks to make sure you have enough to last you all summer long.
Brilliant stuff. Okay, let's get to our questions then. The first one comes in from Anna, who says, good morning, my daffodils flowers are dead. When is the best time to cut back the leaves?
Well, yes, and that's a great question, because mine are doing the same. All the leaves are looking a bit sad in the garden now, but if you can hold out for another few weeks and wait till they've gone brown, and then it's a better time to cut them, because if you cut your daffodil leaves too early, you will not have flowers next year. So try and hold out for another few weeks if you can.
Hope that helps. Anna, this next question comes from James. Good morning to you. Is this the right time to feed my strawberry plants, and what is the best thing to feed them?
Hi James. Well, strawberry plants, you start feeding them as soon as they start flowering, and a lot of them will probably be starting flowering around about now, so it is a good time to feed them. And the best thing you can use actually for feeding strawberry plants when they're flowering is tomato feed. So you can pick up tomato feed. If you don't have any, you can pick it up at Clonroad Garden Centre.
Brilliant. And that's where else would you get it, says you.
Exactly.
Next one is from Sarah in Kilkee, who says, I have 2 ash trees with ash dieback disease.
Oh dear.
Can this spread to the other trees in my garden?
Well, ash dieback can spread obviously to other ash trees, but doesn't seem to affect other trees. But you should probably need to look at getting a tree surgeon for getting rid of them, because it is ash dieback, unfortunately, is fatal.
Okay, and it is becoming a bit more prevalent, isn't it?
It certainly is. Now, there are apparently some ash trees that seem to be showing resistance to it, and I believe work has been done to find out why they are resistant and not getting that, and hopefully they will be able to breed ash trees that will become resistant in the future. But yes, it is spreading around the whole country, unfortunately.
Okay. Next question comes from a West Clare listener that says, my apple tree is looking rather raggy with spindly branches. Can I prune my apple tree now?
It's not a good time to prune apple trees now. I would wait until the autumn, late autumn, to do that. You generally don't prune them in the summertime. They're generally pruned in the winter, so better to hold out.
Okay, fantastic stuff. Next question comes from Mary, who says, is there anything I can do to improve the scent of my roses? They appear to be faint.
Well, roses, the scent of roses is inherent in the variety. So some roses have little to no scent and some have a really strong scent. It depends on the rose that you get originally and plant. So the sun, if they're in a sunny location, it definitely brings out the scent stronger. But usually the scent it depends on the variety of rose that you buy.
Okay.
So you can't really improve it as such.
Next question comes from Claire, who asks, can I grow a lilac in a pot, and do you have any in stock?
We do have lilacs in stock, but if you're going to grow one in a pot, there's a lilac palabin, it's called. It's a miniature lilac, and that will do much better long term in a pot than a large lilac tree. If you really want a lilac tree and you have to put it in a pot, then get the biggest pot that you can to plant it in, because they're hard enough to mind in pots. The roots will eventually fill out the pot and outgrow it, so it's not ideal. But there is one variety, we have it in stock. It's a miniature lilac. Syringa palabin is the Latin name for it, or the botanical name. And if you come in, we can show that to you. But we do also have the large lilac trees in pots. And I can understand why someone would want it, because they are a beautiful tree.
Absolutely. Just before we pick our winner for that €25 voucher, just to get a sense from you maybe, Judy, as to the customers that are coming into your garden centre at the moment, are you seeing a common theme, or what is the popular thing this time of year?
Well, at the moment, I have to say that the bedding plants would be slower than normal, and what everybody is buying at the moment is perennial plants, and perennials are flying out the door. I think the colder weather maybe has encouraged that, but now with the good weather around the corner, all the forecast is for the weather temperatures to pick up, so we expect everybody to be busy planting their summer bedding in the couple of weeks ahead, for sure.
Fantastic stuff. Well, the good news for you, Claire, who had the question about the lilac in a pot and asking was there any in stock at the Clonroad Garden Centre, is that you now have a €25 voucher to come into the garden centre and get your lilac and get all the advice that comes with it as well, which is part of the service that you will get there. Judy, thanks so much for having a chat with us.
Derrick.